Hello everybody. In the last class we have completed the meristematic tissues. So today we are going to start the permanent tissues. Permanent tissue. As the name suggests, these permanent tissues have lost the capability to divide. These permanent tissues have a definite shape, size and function. Definite shape, size and function. Permanent tissues are the cells which have lost their capability and these have a definite shape, size and function. And the permanent tissues may be the permanent tissues may be dead or living. May be dead or living. We have studied about the meristematic tissues, but the meristematic tissues are always living. But in the case of permanent tissues, they can be dead or living. The division and differentiation of the cells of meristematic tissue give rise to permanent tissue. Meristematic tissues divide, or we can write differentiate. Differentiate and give rise to the permanent tissue. During differentiation, developing tissues and organs change from simple to more complex form to become specialized for specific function. So, during differentiation, what happens? These meristematic tissues, which were having no function at the time, after differentiation, they get their particular function. So, let us differentiate between meristematic and permanent tissues. In the meristematic tissue, cells are small and may be round, oval, rectangular or polygonal. Shape can be oval, rounded, rectangular or polygonal. But in the case of permanent tissue, large different shapes are present. Large different shapes are present according to the type of tissue. So the first difference was about the shape. The shape of meristematic tissue can be oval, rounded, rectangular or polygonal, but in case of permanent tissue the shape differs according to the function. In meristematic tissue, the cells are thin-walled. Cells are thin-walled. Why the cells are thin-walled? Because these are continuously dividing. But in case of permanent tissues, the cells are thick-walled. The cells of meristematic tissues are rich in cytoplasm. But in the permanent tissues, the cytoplasm is present as a layer around the cell wall. Present as a layer around the cell wall. In the meristematic tissues, the nucleus is of large size. Large size nucleus. But in permanent tissue, the nucleus is of small size, relatively small size nucleus. Vacuoles are absent in the meristematic tissues. Absent in the tissues. But in permanent tissues, large central vacuole is present. The meristematic tissues are undifferentiated. Cells are in the stage of undifferentiation. That means they have not got any particular function, and these differentiate to form the permanent tissues. But in permanent tissue, all the cells are differentiated. The meristematic tissues are always living. But the permanent tissues may be living or they can be dead. In meristematic tissues, the power of cell division is present. Power of division, division is present. Lack the power of cell division. Lack the power of. So this was the difference between the permanent tissues and the meristematic tissues. Now we are going to classify the permanent tissues. Classification of permanent tissue. So these permanent tissues on the basis of complexity are divided into two types. One is the simple permanent tissues. And second one is a complex permanent tissue. These complex are again divided on the basis of function they are performing. If they are doing the protective function, they are known as the protective simple permanent tissues. And if they are providing the support to the plant, they are known as the supportive simple permanent tissues. These protective are again of two types, epidermis and the cork. These supportive are again divided into three different types, parenchyma, collenchyma, and last, sclerenchyma. These complex permanent tissues are of two types. These are xylem and phloem. And we would be discussing this in our later classes. Xylem and phloem. So this is the classification of permanent tissues. Now we are going to discuss these one by one. First we will discuss about the simple permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue. Why these are being called as the simple permanent tissue? Because these have common origin and these are made up of single type of cell. These are made up of similar type of cells, and these are similar structurally and functionally. Similar structurally and functionally. Now we have studied that these are of two types on the basis of function they are performing. So first is a protective simple permanent tissue. Protective simple permanent tissue. Primarily protective in function as the name suggests, and these are of again two types. Protective in function. Protective in function, and these are of two types. One is the epidermis and second is the cork. So in the next class we will be studying about epidermis and then about the cork and then the supportive tissues. Thank you.